Jonah Johnston had a harrowing experience with a drug called Delta-8, and since then, he's been facing the consequences of his actions on 7 Little Johnstons. It was intended to be harmless fun with his friends, but the 23-year-old got more than he bargained for. Now, that one moment has changed Jonah's life in ways that he couldn't have imagined. When Trent and Amber Johnston received a terrifying phone call from Jonah, everything took a turn on 7 Little Johnstons. He told them that he was upset, scared, and unable to figure out where he was. He was slurring his words, and didn't really make sense. This made his parents panic, as they feared the worst. Thankfully, Jonah arrived home safely, after Trent was able to track down his location and pick him up. Jonah's Delta-8 drug scare stemmed from a bad reaction to synthetic marijuana, but the effects of that one night have had a lasting impact on his life. 10 Jonah has increased anxiety prior to dabbling with Delta-8. Jonah lived with anxiety, but since then, it has gotten worse. The quick-witted and humorous eldest son in the 7 Little Johnstons family has become more self-aware. However, he doesn't quite trust all of his decisions. He leans on his parents even more, to be sure he stays on the straight and narrow, and makes the right choices. He should consider more than his own gut instincts. Jonah's anxiety's a chain reaction to many events and actions in his life, from his relationships to his desire for independence. 9 Jonah moved back home. Jonah's bad reaction to synthetic marijuana with his friends didn't only affect his mental health that night, as it took a toll for weeks and months to come, negatively impacting his everyday life. The effects of his anxiety led him to continue going downhill, and caused his parents to step in and intervene. During 7 Little Johnstons Season 12, Jonah found himself putting his belongings in storage, and moving back home again. He wanted to get a handle on his life and responsibilities, with help from Trent and Amber. His overarching goal was gaining more independence. 8 Jonah lost his parents' trust. Jonah's ordeal with Delta-8 caused him to lose his parents' trust, and heightened their fear and worry about his whereabouts and safety. Whenever they couldn't get in touch with him, they became even more overbearing and protective. Their concern played out during a 7 Little Johnstons episode, when the family all got together to celebrate Amber's birthday. Trent tried contacting Jonah throughout the day to ensure he was attending. When he couldn't be reached or located via the tracker on his phone, his parents couldn't help but have their doubts. 7 Jonah has a fractured relationship with his girlfriend. Jonah's relationship with his longtime girlfriend, Ashley, was also impacted by his Delta-8 incident. Her parents had questions about his uncharacteristic behavior, and were concerned about the influence he would have on her. In the aftermath of the drug scare, Trent and Amber also had their concerns about that relationship. An intense conversation took place on 7 Little Johnstons. Jonah's parents sat down to have a heart-to-heart with the young couple, and voiced their worries. They admitted they read through their text messages, which raised some red flags. After clearing the air and reevaluating their romance, Jonah and Ashley decided to put their relationship on pause. In light of everything, they wanted to focus on themselves. His dangerous choices didn't only affect him, but Ashley as well. 6 Jonah lost his sense of independence in more ways than one. Jonah is paying the price on 7 Little Johnstons. For the longest time, he grew up relying on his parents for everything. He didn't take much initiative in his own life. Once he moved out, he found a new level of freedom. He had the potential to do anything he wanted to. His run-in with Delta 8 has set him 10 steps back, and into the mindset of using his parents as a crutch, so he can avoid being fully independent and responsible. 5. Jonah isn't taking the lead in his life. Instead of learning from the situation and using it as a catalyst for growth, Jonah's doing the opposite. He's practically letting life pass him by because his past mistakes cast a long shadow. The 7 Little Johnstons stars letting his parents make important life decisions for him, instead of deciding what he truly wants, and what kind of future he should have. It's great that he is so open to Trent and Amber's advice, but he is, unfortunately, falling into the trap of letting them run his life. That's all because of this one life-changing incident. 4. Jonah's choices affected his siblings. Since Jonah is the eldest of the 7 Little Johnston siblings, it was no surprise that the news of his drug use had a profound impact on them. His 4 younger siblings often look up to him, and are very aware of what he is doing. Therefore, when he came clean about his Delta 8 situation, they didn't really know what to think. They were surprised by his behavior, and were scared to think about what could have happened if the parents didn't step in and help Jonah. 3. Jonah is letting his mistake define him. Jonah was open about his Delta 8 drug scare on 7 Little Johnstons. Trent and Amber sat down, recounting the entire situation, and highlighting the severity of it all. He had no issue answering their questions, and taking responsibility for his wrongdoing. However, that doesn't seem to be enough, as Jonah is letting his mistake define him. He isn't understanding that it's a moment that doesn't have to follow him around forever. The anxiety from that mistake impacted his work, his mental health, his love life, and his relationship with his family. 2. Jonah's reputation is tarnished. While Jonah made it clear on 7 Little Johnstons that he wanted to stay far away from Delta 8 and anything similar to it, the damage has already been done. Since his parents experienced the terrifying phone call, they have been more observant of Jonah's behavior, and every step he takes. Whenever he doesn't return a phone call or a text message, or fails to follow through on obligations, they can't help but automatically assume something is wrong. Reading through his text messages with Ashley was one of Trent and Amber's biggest parenting mistakes, even though they have tried to justify it. 1. Jonah has a fear of being irresponsible again. Trent and Amber's overprotective nature seems to have planted a seed of doubt in Jonah's mind on 7 Little Johnstons. He no longer has the confidence in himself to make the right choices without his parents' input. It is clear that Jonah has been working to redeem himself since everything went down, but it is obvious he is walking on eggshells to get there.